I moved into the apartment on a Tuesday, which should have been my first warning. Nothing good ever starts on a Tuesday. The building was old, older than it looked. Its bricks darkened as if they had soaked up decades of rain, smoke, and secrets. It stood at the end of a narrow street, pressed between two abandoned shops with shattered windows and faded signs. The landlord, Mr. Holloway, handed me the keys without smiling, his fingers cold and damp, like he had just washed his hands and forgotten to dry them. "Apartment 3B, he said. "Don't make noise after midnight." That was it. No welcome. No rules beyond that. He turned and walked away before I could ask why. Inside, the air felt wrong. Stale, but not dusty. As if the apartment was breathing, slow, shallow breaths, holding something inside. The walls were clean, freshly painted, yet the smell lingered beneath the paint. Metal and rot, and something faintly sweet. I told myself it was old pipes. Old buildings always smelled strange. That night, as I lay on the mattress on the floor, I heard the first sound. A whisper. It wasn't loud, barely more than a breath brushing against my ear. I sat up, heart pounding, but the room was empty. The door was locked. The windows were shut. Then I heard it again. "Don't turn around." I laughed nervously. Stress. Moving anxiety. My brain playing tricks. I lay back down, pulling the blanket over my head like a child, and eventually fell asleep. The next morning, I found handprints on the bathroom mirror. They were small. Too small to be mine. I wiped them away, but the glass felt warm beneath my fingers, like skin. I pulled my hand back quickly, heart racing, and stared at my reflection. For a moment, just a moment, I thought my reflection blinked out of sync with me. That night, the whisper returned. Louder this time. Closer. "Don't turn around." I felt it then, a presence. Something standing behind me. I could sense where it was, the way you can feel someone staring at you in a dark room. My spine went rigid. Sweat soaked into the sheets. I didn't turn around. The whisper sighed, disappointed. From that night on, the apartment changed. Doors I closed were open when I returned home. The television turned on by itself at exactly 12:07 a.m., always showing static, always accompanied by a low humming sound that vibrated through my bones. And every mirror in the apartment began to show things that weren't there. Faces behind my shoulder, hands reaching from the darkness, shadows that moved when I didn't. I stopped sleeping. On the fourth night, I heard footsteps outside my bedroom door. Slow, dragging, like something heavy being pulled across the floor. The handle turned gently, testing. "Don't turn around," the whisper reminded me. I squeezed my eyes shut and prayed for morning. When I finally worked up the courage to open the door, the hallway was empty, but the carpet was wet. Dark stains soaked deep into the fibers, leading toward the kitchen. They smelled like iron. Blood. I tried to leave the apartment that day. I packed my bag, keys in hand, heart hammering. But when I opened the front door, the hallway outside wasn't there. It was my apartment again. Door after door led back inside. Windows showed the same dark room no matter what time it was. My phone had no signal. The clock was stuck at 12:07. I was trapped. That night, the whisper spoke clearly for the first time. "You looked once. You'll look again." The mirrors began to scream. Not with sound, but with images. Reflections twisted into grotesque shapes. Mouths stretched too wide. Eyes black and bleeding. Bodies folded in impossible ways. In one mirror, I saw myself standing behind me, smiling, holding a knife. I smashed the mirror. It didn't break. Instead, something pushed back. A hand pressed against the glass from the other side, fingers bending the surface outward like soft plastic. The reflection's smile widened, and its mouth opened, unhinging, stretching wider than any human jaw should. I ran. The apartment chased me. Walls shifted. Hallways stretched longer than before. Doors slammed shut on their own. The whisper followed me everywhere now, overlapping itself, dozens of voices layered together. "Don't turn around. Don't turn around. Don't turn around." I tripped and fell near the bathroom, and when I looked up, I saw it. The thing that lived in the mirrors. It didn't have a fixed shape. Its body was a collection of stolen parts, faces stitched together, arms growing from places they shouldn't, legs bent backward like a broken doll. Its skin was reflective, like liquid glass, showing fragments of every person it had ever consumed. Its mouth opened. "Look at me," I screamed and shut my eyes. The air grew cold. The whisper turned angry. "You can't hide forever." When I opened my eyes, I was alone. Or so I thought. Days, or maybe minutes, passed. Time had no meaning anymore. Hunger gnawed at me, but there was food in the fridge, always fresh, always cold, always tasting faintly of blood. I ate because I had to. Each time I passed a mirror, I saw myself changing. My eyes darker, my smile slower. My reflection began to move a second after I did. On what I think was the seventh night, the whisper changed its tone. Soft, loving. "You're ready." I felt a pull in my chest, like a hook sinking into my soul. I understood then. The apartment wasn't haunted. It was hungry. It fed on attention, on fear, on the moment someone turned around. And once it had enough of you, it replaced you. I stood in front of the largest mirror, the one in the bedroom. My reflection stared back, eyes shining, smile perfect. "Just look," it whispered. Just once. I tried to resist. I really did. But curiosity is stronger than fear. I turned around. The pain was indescribable, like being peeled apart, memory by memory, reflection by reflection. I felt myself pulled backward, my body passing through the glass as if it were liquid. The last thing I saw was my reflection stepping out of the mirror, stretching its limbs, breathing in the air of the apartment like it was alive for the first time. When Mr. Holloway showed the apartment to the next tenant, he smiled politely. "Apartment 3B, he said. "Don't make noise after midnight." Behind him, in the mirror by the door, I watched silently, waiting. And if you ever hear a whisper telling you not to turn around, don't make the same mistake I did. I never believed in warning signs. If I had, I wouldn't have answered the phone at 3:11 a.m. The number was unknown. No name, no location, just ringing. Long patient, as if whoever, or whatever, was calling knew I would eventually pick up. When I answered, there was no voice. Only breathing. Slow. Wet. Too close. I pulled the phone away from my ear. "Hello." The breathing stopped. Then a whisper crawled through the speaker. "You heard it now." The call ended. I laughed it off. A prank. A drunk dial. Anything logical. I told myself that while staring at my dark bedroom ceiling, trying not to think about how the breathing had sounded like it was coming from inside my chest. The next morning, my voice was gone. Not sore. Not hoarse. Gone. When I tried to speak, only air escaped my mouth. No sound. Panic set in, cold and sharp. I grabbed my phone and tried to record a voice note. Nothing. Complete silence. Then my phone vibrated. Unknown number. A text message appeared. "You can borrow it back." I didn't understand. Another message followed. "But every time you use it, something else will listen." I should have thrown the phone away. Instead, I typed back. "Who is this?" 3 dots appeared instantly. "You invited us when you answered." The silence in my apartment felt heavier after that, like the walls were leaning in, listening. I tried to scream. Nothing. Just air. The first time my voice returned, I gasped and laughed simultaneously. Relief surged through me as I realized I could finally speak again. I tried saying something simple. "Hello." The voice came out perfectly. My own. Clean. Safe. A low hum filled the room immediately afterward. Not coming from the phone. Not coming from the walls. From inside my own chest. The voice trembled when I laughed. That night, the whisper returned. Louder. Everywhere. Layered. Echoing. First use is free. I didn't sleep. I barely moved. Every time I opened my mouth, I felt a pull, as if the air I breathed was being copied, stretched, and stored somewhere else. I tried recording myself. The audio files multiplied, stacking on top of each other in my phone. Voices I didn't recognize overlapped with my own. One recording calmly described me cutting my finger. Another screamed in panic. I hadn't said any of it. Days passed. I started talking only to text. Silent communication became my lifeline. But the silence gnawed at me. I could feel my voice craving release, itching to be used again. Finally, I slipped. I whispered one word. Yes. Immediately, the room changed. The lights dimmed, shadows lengthened, and my reflection in the window didn't move with me. Something else was standing behind me, mimicking my posture, but slower. Intentional. Watching. Learning. That was the night I understood. The phone didn't just record voices. It collected them, stored them, took them, and each time I spoke, it learned. It grew stronger. By the 9th night, I hadn't slept in 3 days. I barely ate. I avoided speaking at all costs. At exactly 3:11 a.m., the phone rang on its own. Unknown number. I didn't pick up. It stopped, but my own voice whispered from the shadows. I was speaking without moving my lips. The phone vibrated violently. The screen lit up. Second use accepted. Panic gripped me as I realized my voice was being transferred somewhere. Every tone, every inflection, every syllable had been copied, and I was losing it. I tried destroying the phone. Hammer, fire, water. Nothing worked. It always returned, vibrating in my pocket, screen glowing softly. That night, my reflection spoke. "You don't need it anymore," it said in my voice. "We do." Its mouth didn't move. Mine did. I screamed. The pain ripped through my throat as my voice poured out, layered with hundreds of other voices. Men, women, children, all screaming through me. And then silence. The phone buzzed one last time. Transfer complete. I opened my mouth. Nothing. Now, I can hear them. Not with my ears. With memory. They live in every device, every call, every whisper at 3:11 a.m., waiting for the next person to answer. And if you ever hear a call at 3:11, don't pick up. I bought the house because it felt quiet. Too quiet. It stood alone at the edge of a half-forgotten neighborhood, where streetlights flickered even when there was no wind and most houses were either abandoned or permanently dark. The real estate agent's nervous chatter was too loud, like she was trying to fill the silence the house itself had created. Family owned it for generations, she said. No major issues. She didn't mention the scratches on the inside of the bedroom door, or why every mirror in the house had been removed except one. That mirror was in the hallway. Tall, old, framed in cracked wood, glass warped and cloudy as if it had absorbed years of secrets. "Why is this one still here?" I asked. The agent avoided looking at it. It came with the house. The first night, I slept better than I had in years. That should have scared me. No dreams. No noises. No creaks. Just deep sleep, like the house had wrapped itself around me. I woke up standing in the hallway, facing the mirror. My reflection was awake. It smiled before I did. I stumbled back, heart racing. The reflection stayed smiling, eyes tracking me. When I raised my hand, it copied me, but slower, deliberate. I told myself it was exhaustion. Days passed. The house started learning me. Lights turned on before I entered rooms. The shower warmed itself. The oven preheated when I felt hungry. Helpful, thoughtful, possessive. The mirror began showing things that hadn't happened yet. Me dropping a glass. Me cutting my finger. Me standing in the hallway at night, staring at the mirror while something stood behind me. Each time, the vision came true within hours. I tried covering the mirror. The cloth slid off. I tried turning it to face the wall. When I returned from work, it faced the hallway again. Waiting. Old photographs started appearing in the living room. Black and white families, always standing in the hallway, always smiling too wide, always staring at the mirror. On the back of one photo, written in shaky ink, "The house keeps what looks back." I tried leaving. Every door opened into the hallway. Windows showed the hallway. Every exit led back to the mirror. "You're home," my reflection said softly. "Why would you leave?" I slammed my hand on the mirror. Nothing. It passed through, gliding across the glass like water. My reflection stepped forward. Out of the mirror. Its movements wrong. Too smooth, too practiced. "This house needs a face," it said. The last one wore out. I ran. Hallways twisted. Rooms stretched longer than possible. Doors appeared where there hadn't been any before, slamming shut behind me. I ended up back in the hallway. Always the hallway. The mirror stood empty now. I understood. The mirror wasn't a doorway. It was a mold. The house wasn't haunted. It was unfinished. Hands grabbed me from behind. Walls opening like mouths. Floors softening under my feet. I was dragged toward the mirror, screaming, clawing at the wood. As my face touched the glass, it turned liquid. Cold. Pulling. I saw the hallway from the other side as I was pressed flat, stretched, reshaped. My scream became silent. My body became reflection. The last thing I saw was the house relaxing. Satisfied. Now I stand in the hallway. I smile when the lights turn on. I watch the front door. Waiting. Because the house is quiet again. And someone new will want a home.